Hi guys, welcome to CYC. Today I want to continue on this with this focus on resilience. So today we're going to do an autobiography sort of exercise. That is to focus on your past, the story that got you up to where you are at the moment, because you have to understand that to understand how to work with yourself, essentially. But importantly, okay, so we're going to start off this with a kind of a pre-filter. When you're doing this exercise, I want you to treat yourself as you would your friend. Because at its core, friendship is not about kind of an exchange of information or kind of keeping each other in check. Like, while those things might be part of it, essentially what friendship is it's non-judgment. It's forgiveness, essentially. Because you're seeing the actual human. Like, you've seen, like, your good friends, you've seen them mess up the relationship. You've seen them fall short of their responsibilities, whether it's in work or hobbies or to yourself as a friend, that you've seen the human side of them. And while you might encourage them to be the best version they can be, and you critique them and support them and you offer advice and help and all of the rest, essentially that's not your job. You're just there to witness, and it's your privilege to witness your friend's life unfolds whatever way it unfolds. If that makes sense. It's a very non-judgmental way that you treat your true friends, like your close 2-3 best friends. So that is the energy I want you to do this exercise with. I want you to view yourself in that regard, that you are human. You are not perfect. I see the flaws. I see the good things and the bad. But there's plenty, like, as in, we're not going to ignore the bad. And just, what else do you expect? Of course you are. You're a person. And just be like, okay, so what are we working with? Okay, so that is the headspace, the energy sort of to bring to this exercise. Now, and I totally understand also that this autobiography thing or whatever is not normal. It's not the way people don't indulge in this too often, especially seeing as this is a written exercise. People don't indulge in writing too often. So I'm going to give you a blueprint of how to kind of get through it. And step one is going to be the timeline or time frame or whatever is you're just going to chunk it up into like 4 years or something like that. So who you were between 8 and 12, 12, 16, 16, 20 and onwards. And you're just going to chunk it that way, and you're going to try and identify the personas, the identities, the emotions that you indulged in, that you explored during those times. Because you will have been either the sporty guy or the gamer guy or the intellectual or the class clown or there's going to be a mix. There's going to be ebbs and flows basically throughout your life when you hit high points and you hit low points on these different kind of characteristics. And how did that work out? Like, how did you feel? So we'll go straight into number 2. And number 2 is to look at the 4 pillars of life, which is your family, friends, hobbies, and work. How did you regard each of those? Like, what was your relationship with your family, or how was your relationship with like your hobbies and stuff like that? Did you get obsessed with a hobby? When you were dealing with work, did you lean into the discipline and the kind of the responsibilities of work, or did you shy away from that side of it and that took you a bit longer, or you picked up the responsibilities at the next phase, the next clump? Okay, so that's step number 2. So 1, chunk it up. Number 2, look at the 4 pillars of family, friends, hobbies, and work. Okay, number 3 is do this exercise from that perspective. So from whatever time chunk you have, whether it's like 12 to 16, okay, when you're in the previous step, I said to reflect on your relationship with your family or friends. That's very different you doing it now. So this step number 3 is doing it from the perspective of the actual 12 to 16 year old. How did you feel at that time? Now, this is quite difficult because you're trying to do it in a non-judgmental way. And like, you know, geez, 12 to 21 is when we're like the most judgmental of ourselves and everyone else. It's like the elbows are out and everyone's trying to get ahead. And like, it's a testing time. We've all been through it. And I'm sure we'd all agree that testing out who you are and how that fits into the society around you is difficult, and people can be quite ratty to each other, and people can be quite bitter and resentful towards what they want but can't achieve, or to people who have it easier, or people who are just different, and you're just like, you listen to different music, so therefore you're like whatever. And I do that from both sides. I was the rocker, which is the fringe element, whatever, but like we looked back on the like dance people or whatever. It's a two-way street. It always is. So back on track. What was your honest perspective of life at that stage, basically? And so let's explore that one. Okay, and then step 4 to this autobiography exercise is to free write. Now, free write is unnatural. It's weird. It's strange. As in, if you've never done it before, it's weird. It starts off really boring because you're just like, I don't know what to write, and I'm just going to keep on writing, and it starts off bad. Or it can start off totally left of field, and you have this just weird thought, and now you have to try and continue it on. But so don't worry about the start. All you need to focus on when you're doing free writing is the whole purpose of that exercise is for you to write down the thought before you can filter it, before your brain can process it at all. So you just keep writing. And whether the thought is good or bad, it doesn't matter. You're not here to evaluate it. You're not here to say if it's good or bad. You're just here to see what thoughts come up. It's a creativity thing. It's not a moral thing whether you think of something good or bad. If that makes sense. It's not we're not here to make the judgment. It's just your creative thoughts, and you're just like, yeah, geez, we went camping, and geez, there could have been a massive storm, and like, you know, and you catastrophize it, and geez, like, you know, could have lost all my friends, and like all this stuff or whatever. That doesn't mean you wish it upon your friends. That doesn't mean any ill will or malice is in you. It just means your creativity, your headspace just thought of something catastrophic. I hope that makes sense. Now you can, like, if you want to get like really dark about that, like that can go dark places, to be honest. But we'll pretend we're all nice and fluffy for the moment, and we'll pretend none of us have those thoughts. So that's your 4 steps. And I want you to try and understand this, because there are identities and personas that you will have adopted through the years for different stages that just aren't relevant anymore. As in that the persona was built because of the environment it was built in. It was like you're not fully in charge of the persona that you are. You're not fully in charge of the person or the habits or anything like that you are. So understanding the environment that you built different aspects of yourself in is really important, because the environment did affect how you built it. And maybe, as I said, many of those may not be relevant for you anymore. And it can be it's surprisingly easy to build personas and stuff like that. But then when you try and like whittle it down and burn off the excess and burn off the dead wood and all the rest, that can be quite painful. That can be difficult. But okay, so anyway, I'm going to leave it there. That is the video for today. I'm going to continue with this whole focus on resilience. I'm going to be doing a resiliency course that's going to be based in 3 different chunks, which is going to be past, present and future. And this past part is going to be what we did today, which is kind of trying to let go of that past story, that you are not captive, you are not beholden and captured by your past personas or your past habits or everything else. That you are the viewer, you are the witness to what happened, and you are also the person that can start turning some cogs to kind of start building new patterns or whatever else. But it does take that separation of you and your thoughts, that kind of little bit of distance between there, where it's like, oh yeah, that thought came into my head because of it linked to this part of my history or something like that. Doesn't matter, we won't waffle. I will leave it there. I will see you next Tuesday, guys. I hope you like this kind of resiliency focus. So yeah, I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye, guys.